All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, we are going to be finishing the Xanathar subclasses of the Rogue, looking at the Swashbuckler. Now, like I do every single time, we're going to go over a tiny bit of a refresher on 5th edition class design. Basically, every class is designed to play very, very differently right from the beginning. In order to do that, they have these things that we call defining features, and those defining features should show up within the first two levels. So, for the rogue, the defining features are the one I kept forgetting, which is expertise, which is basically they get to pick a couple skills or their proficiency in thieves' tools, and they get to double their proficiency bonus with it, which just makes them really good at certain skills to challenges. In addition, they have what's called Sneak Attack. This is a classic rogue ability. It used to be called Backstab. This is, it allows them to do crazy amounts of damage as long as certain conditions are met. And then the last defining feature is Cunning Action, which basically lets them use their bonus action to do extra things. The baseline Cunning Action lets them dash, disengage, or dodge as a bonus action instead, or not dash, disengage, dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. So it does turn the rogue into a kind of very slippery character. And the subclasses in general find ways to kind of modify those abilities to make them even more powerful. The Swashbuckler, one of the things that a lot of people think of when they think of a rogue is a character that comes in that's got a dagger in each hand. He kind of comes in, he's got a mask on and a hood. You know, he just comes in, he stabs people, and then he disappears. Well, in 5th edition, because of how the rogue is built, dual wielding as a rogue generally is not a viable build, because rogues are very dependent on their bonus action. Again, that cunning action lets them do a lot of things with their bonus action. And if you're dual wielding, in order to make your attack with your offhand, you need to use your bonus action. And so most rogue players will not dual wield simply because it kind of hamstrings the class. The Swashbuckler is a dual wielding rogue. That is what it is designed to be. Now, can you be a single weapon rogue and still be a swashbuckler? Yes, there's lots of other things you can do. But the Swashbuckler is specifically designed so that you can make your offhanded attacks and not feel quite as limited as you would if you were playing just a kind of regular rogue or any of the other subclasses. So that's kind of what the Swashbuckler's designed for, is dual wielding, or just kind of that Penache style rogue. You can go either way or both ways with it. So let's jump into the actual class features. At 3rd level, you get to 2 abilities, extremely common for most subclasses. The first ability you get at the 3rd level is called Fancy Footwork. And this is really what allows a swashbuckler to dual wield if they so choose. During your turn, if you make a melee attack against a creature, that creature can't make opportunity attacks against you for the rest of your turn. So this, as simple as it sounds, there's a lot to it. So first things first is it says if you make a melee attack against a creature, not if you hit a creature with a melee attack. So that already means that anytime you swing at a creature, they can't make opportunity attacks against you. Normally, this is not a weird thing for rogues to be able to go in, stab, and then run away. They can use their disengage action as their bonus action. So they can just disengage and get away. If you're dual wielding, you can't do that. So with this, you can dual wield, make an attack against two different targets, and run away from both of them, whether you hit or not. It does, like I mentioned in the last video, it does make this particular rogue very much a little bit more hyper mobile than most. Mostly because this particular rogue is built for hit and run style attacks. So go in, make an attack, run away before they can really do anything to you. And the same can be used if you start next to an enemy. Like maybe an enemy ran up to you and made an attack, hit them once or twice. And then run away from them using your full move to make it that much more difficult for them to be able to do anything. Very, very mobile type character. The other thing they get at the third level is called Rakish Audacity. Basically, again, at third level, you can give yourself a bonus to your initiative rolls equal to your charisma modifier. We've talked about this before in previous D&D deep dives, but there's this thing called sad and mad characters. A sad character is a single attribute dependent character or class, and mad is multiple attribute dependent, and it's basically the things that this class does the most. Are they going to require you to have one good attribute or two? And a rogue in general is generally a single attribute dependent. All you really need to play a rogue really well is a high dexterity score. All your attack rolls are made with dexterity. Most of your abilities that you use, your thieves tools, your stealth, sleight of hand, all the things that are very roguish are all dexterity based. With the Swashbuckler, this kind of changes the rogue from single attribute to multi attributes, because now your charisma modifier is going to be important. This first one is just giving you a bonus to your initiative, which is still super useful. But you'll see as we go on, you will get more and more things that make it very beneficial for the Swashbuckler to have a high charisma modifier. Now, in addition to giving yourself a bonus to your initiative equal to your charisma mod, you also gain an additional way to use your sneak attack. You don't need advantage on the attack roll to use your sneak attack against a creature if you are within 5 feet of it and no other creatures are within 5 feet of you, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. All other rules for sneak attack still apply. So the Swashbuckler can now get sneak attack by simply being within 5 feet of an enemy and not having another enemy within 5 feet of them. It doesn't mean that there are no enemies anywhere near them or no other enemies near the enemy they're attacking. It just means they need to position themselves so they have at least 5 feet of space on either side. This makes this particular flavor of a rogue very independent. Most rogues, either they need advantage to get their sneak attack, which a lot of them will use the hide action to get their advantage, which can work and sometimes doesn't, or they need an ally next to the enemy to get their sneak attack. The Swashbuckler doesn't. They can go off and just pick an enemy and attack them, and then run back away, because again, they as long as they make an attack roll, they don't have to land it, just make an attack roll, they can run away without any issue. Now, the limits to sneak attack still apply. You can only use sneak attack once per turn. So you're not going to be able to dual wield and sneak attack twice, but it effectively does mean that you're getting twice as many attacks as someone else. And if you combine that with something like dual wielder, the dual wielder feat, you can do a pretty impressive level of damage, and get some other bonuses, like a bonus to your armor class and things like that, while dual wielding things like rapiers. So yeah, that's everything you get at the third level. At 9th level, you get Penache. Basically, as an action, you can make a charisma persuasion check contested by a creature's wisdom insight to check. The creature must be able to hear you, and the two of you must share a language. If you succeed and the creature is hostile to you, it has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you and can't make opportunity attacks against targets other than you. This effect lasts for a minute until one of your companions attacks the target or affects it with a spell, or until you and the target are more than 60 feet apart. If you do it and it's not hostile to you, it's charmed by you for a minute, and while charmed, it regards you as a friendly acquaintance. This effect ends immediately if you or your companions do anything harmful to it. So this one, there's a lot to it. First things first, this is a new action, which is kind of interesting. Now, the way that dual wielding works is, in order to make your offhand attack, you do have to take the attack action. So using this ability is basically going to prevent you from making any attacks this turn. However, there are a lot of reasons to use this. First of all, it doesn't specify a distance. So effectively, as long as the creature is within hearing distance, you can use this. Giving it disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than you is massively useful. Especially if you use this on a target that's nowhere near you, so it can't actually get to you to attack. You've effectively just wasted a few of its attacks simply because it won't be able to attack you, and any other attack it's going to make with disadvantage. In addition to that, if you use this tactically, you can basically hit a target with your Penache, the rest of the party just not attack fast, and this lasts for a minute. That's 10 rounds. So this could be used as a very effective way to make one enemy significantly less dangerous while you take out the rest of them. Especially useful if the enemy has multi-attack, anything like that. As long as you don't get more than 60 feet away from it, which again, you have the ability to be more mobile than most rogues. You can stay just within the distance to keep them affected by it without getting close enough for them to attack you, and all their attacks are made with disadvantage. And the other thing that's nice, it can't make opportunity attacks. So this is another thing that can be really useful when you have friends that are in a bad situation where they need to get out, but they're not going to survive an opportunity attack, or an opportunity attack might make them lose concentration. There's a lot of different reasons. Preventing the creature from making opportunity attacks is really useful. So there's that. However, being able to charm a creature outside of combat without using magic is super useful. First things first, magic spells that charm creatures, most of them have a little caveat at the end that says once the spell wears off, the creature knows it's been charmed. And some of them will particularly say, and the creature becomes hostile to you. Charmed is a really useful skill for getting information, for getting better treatment, for getting better prices. There's a lot of reasons you would want that. And the big downside is generally it's a one and done kind of thing. Once someone realizes that you will affect their mind with status effects, they're not going to trust you. It's going to be more and more difficult to use them. With this, there's nothing in here about, well, they know they've been charmed or they become hostile to you. Nothing. This is just a charm effect with no real downsides, and it takes an action. It takes 6 seconds. So yeah, super super useful from a role playing perspective. And again, at the start of combat, this can be used incredibly effectively simply by charming a creature before the rest of the enemies are aware of you. They see you, you charm that one creature, and he regards you as a friendly acquaintance. He goes, "Hey guys, don't worry about this. This guy's totally on the great. Hey, it's been for forever. Wow, it's so great to see you." And you wander in and you get to the exact right position. Then you pull a weapon out and surprise hit them. And use it as a great way to get sneak attack, because no one's going to expect that their friend is going to bring a dagger out and stab him in the back. So, yeah, so many cool things you can use that for. At the 13th level, you get Elegant Maneuver. You can use a bonus action on your turn to gain advantage on the next dexterity, acrobatics, or strength athletics check you make during the same turn. So this is something that annoys me with rogue subclasses, is a lot of them give you other bonus actions you can use. Rogues are very bonus action dependent. So cunning action is a defining feature of the rogue. I don't know why they can't just say you can now use your cunning action to do this, instead of saying you can use a bonus action. It would gel better with it. It would give you the exact same effect. From a mechanical standpoint, it does the exact same thing, but it would relate it to the base class in one of the defining features. So effectively, this gives you another use for your bonus action. And again, in combat, generally you're going to be making acrobatics or athletics checks to break out of good grapples. So that can be very, very useful, especially if you have something like an Utyug, which auto grapples any time it hits you. Being able to use your bonus action to give yourself advantage on the grapple check can get you away from the creature before it can do really, really bad things. Or something like a roper, where after it grapples you, it pulls you in, and then it eats you and does crazy, crazy high crit damage to you. However, outside of combat, being able to use your bonus action to give you basically advantage on any acrobatics check you need to make, or on strength athletics checks, which rogues are not known for their strength, can be super, super useful. So I think in combat, where I think it's designed to be used, I don't think it's going to be quite as useful as out of combat. But still very, very useful. And again, adds to that kind of hypermobility idea of the Swashbuckler, simply because a lot of acrobatics checks are going to be things like balancing on a rail or going across ice without falling, things that require a little mobility. Finally, at the 17th level, you get Master Duelist. If you miss with an attack roll, you can roll it again with advantage. Once you do so, you can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. So this not only lets you reroll an attack, this lets you reroll an attack with advantage. Very, very useful, extremely limited. I would much rather see this as you can do this twice per short or long rest, or even just twice per long rest. It would be significantly more useful. I think this one and done thing between short or long rests makes it significantly less useful. And as a 17th level of ability, I just don't see a lot of players using this, simply because anytime you have an ability that you can only use once between short or long rest, or once between long rests, they will always save it for that clutch moment where they absolutely desperately need it. And a lot of times, that situation never comes up, and so they choose not to use it, and then never use it, because they're always going, well, I might need it later, so I'm not going to use it now. Just by giving them a second use, they will use both uses of it more often than if they only had one use of it. They will use the second use of it more often than if they only had one. So I'm never a huge fan of these one and done abilities, because players just don't use them. But as far as a one and done, this is very useful. Again, getting that advantage, first of all, might cancel a disadvantage you had, which will mean you can get your sneak attack on it. Or if it was a flat roll before, getting advantage again gets you your sneak attack, which is really important. That's kind of what you do as a rogue. So yeah. Final thoughts. Again, I mentioned that this is kind of another version of a hypermobile, but really the hypermobility comes almost entirely from fancy footwork. The ability for the rogue to go in, attack, and run back out. They're still limited by their once per turn sneak attack. So as much as this does allow for dual wielding, and I've seen a lot of players that take the Swashbuckler do it specifically so they can dual wield, this can be just as effective as a regular single weapon rogue. Though if you could combine it with feats that improve and give you additional abilities as a dual wielder, things like the dual wielding feats. Defensive Duelist is another one that works really well. You can create a very, very powerful dual wielding rogue with this. Rakish Audacity is very, very useful, and it gives you a use for your charisma. Penache gives you another reason to have really good charisma, and turns this into a very tactical enemy or class. And then Master Duelist is that ability that ensures that when you need to hit, you're going to hit. And at that level, you have 9d6 for your sneak attack. And one level above that, you have to 10d6. So the Master Duelist is effectively one of those situations where if you need to get that sneak attack, Master Duelist is going to give it to you. Overall, I think it's good. This is another one that was reprinted from the Sword Coast Adventures guide, so it's interesting. I think I like the Scout for as far as like a hypermobile style rogue. I think the Scout does it better, but the charisma aspects of the Swashbuckler does make it very unique and allows you to play a really kind of fun, flamboyant rogue that you don't really get to see a lot in D&D. So overall, I think it's a great class. Just understand how it's designed to be used before going too far deep into it. Anyway, that's going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, click on the bell icon, turn notifications on to ensure that you never miss any of these. In the comments down below, what does your Swashbuckler look like? Are they like flamboyant, like red mage cape and hat with a feather? Are they more of a scantily clad, wearing tights, leathers, and things that show off their figure? What visually do you think of when you hear about a Swashbuckler? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.